So you started doing Say Cheese.
Correct.
But I guess it took you about 2.5 years before any money really started rolling in?
I mean, really, I was making, as soon as I quit my job, I was getting paid for freestyles for like $50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just enough to pay my mom. You know, I was living with my mom and helping her. At that time, me and my mom are passing out phone books. Like, I got this straight from the mud. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it didn't really change my life till I went to Chicago and got the 600 Breezes and the Rico Reckless and stuff like that. When I went to Chicago and Detroit, that's when things really changed as far as my interview platform.
Right, because I guess after about 3 to 4 years, that's when you started making like 6 digits.
Yeah. Yep.
And you said that's one of your other interviews.
No, for sure.
I'm not just pulling out.
Yeah, no, you good. You good.
Okay, so it took you about 4 years to start making a decent salary where you could actually afford to keep doing this and so forth.
Yeah.
And it was the Chicago thing that you think kind of
Chicago, Baton Rouge. It was a mixture of things because I move around a lot. So getting key interviews at key moments, you know how you capture off the you take advantage of, an opportunity. So, but definitely Chicago though. Like I was going to Chicago and, me and Zach styles were the same, but our the way we ask our questions are different. So Zach's a little bit more familiar with those guys and stuff like that, but I'm more asking questions as an outsider. You know what I mean? As a visitor to the Chicago rappers. So people, they took a liking into it. So yeah, the Chicago scene really helped me out a lot.
Well, the Chicago scene is very independent.
Very.
Some people are signed, but the majority of people are not. So, they're more than willing to fuck with these platforms like ours.
Yeah, and it's like every Chicago rapper they get millions of views like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I think it's like the drama and the gang affiliations and like the banging on wax, banging on the internet, the set tripping on the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
very disrespectful.
Yeah, the dissing of the dead homies and the smoking of various people's friends and that type of thing. So now 3 or 4 years into it, you start making some actual money.
Right.
Do you start looking at this as like more of a business as opposed to a hustle?
Definitely. Like, definitely. Because at first it was just like, yo, I'm doing this not to work a 9 to 5. And then now it's kind of like, yo, I got to start, I got to really take advantage of what's going on right now. Like, yo, this shit going crazy. We're breaking rappers and stuff like that. So yeah, and it all came like suddenly, like.
Yeah, what's the process?
Yeah.
It's a process of putting shit out over and over and over again and building up your thing. So were you and ZackTV close?
At first, the fans made it seem like a beef. Like, like really? The comments like, oh, Shawn Cotton's better. Shawn, Say Cheese, you letting Say Cheese come in your territory. But it was never a beef or anything. I was just going to Chicago doing interviews, and a lot of people looked at it. I was stepping on his toes, but I wasn't. The whole time, Zach would call me and tell me who to interview. But people didn't know that. We just wanted to let them know that. We wanted them to think that it was a difference when it really wasn't.
Zach was a good dude. Me and him, we texted each other a few times. Like I think me and him got the Slim Jesus interview right around the same time. I think like Slim Jesus, I did a Slim Jesus interview, and I got the first interview. And I announced it, and I told him not to interview anyone else until it came out. But Zach managed to kind of squeeze in real quick and get it and do it and put it out before me. But I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, I'm not tripping. I think mine got a lot bigger numbers anyway.
You rode that wave for a minute, yo.
Yeah, I did. But speaking of Zach, real good dude. Really good dude. I remember going through my text messages and. He was telling me about certain artists that he fucks with and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, you hear about the murder.
Yeah. And I talked to him 3 days before that.
3 days before.
3 days because he interviewed a rapper named Crump. Or one of those, Mubu Crump. I'm sorry. Okay. Mubu Crump. He interviewed Mubu Crump and Crump got killed like a week before that. So every time something happens with the rapper, I always call Zach to be like, yo, you straight? Because I know how it is. I interviewed a few rappers that died and, people threatened me, for interviewing them. So I called Zach and I was like, yo, you straight? He was like, yeah, man, it's crazy out here. I was like, yo, you need to move to New York. Because I noticed when he started interviewing a lot of New York, up-and-coming rappers out in New York, and he was happy. Like, he would post about being in New York and his excitement about the New York rap scene. I said, bro, move to New York. But his love, he was so loyal to Chicago, he would never move. Never, ever move to New York.
Right, because I guess the murder happened. There was like some sort of showcase that he was at.
Right. A showcase, and then he left with somebody else, and I don't know if he was the target.
What, didn't the guy in the car end up getting killed also?
He got killed too. Yeah. They were like this.
Wow.
I don't know. It's so many different stories.
Right, because I guess his mom spoke about the guy or something, then the guy gets killed right afterwards. Yeah. But I don't think people realize that this is an actual risk that we take. Like, I was sad to hear about the Zach thing, but I wasn't totally surprised.
I wasn't surprised. Well, no. I mean, with Zach, it was kind of like I thought he was the only guy in Chicago that wouldn't be touched. Like that.
No such thing.
You don't think so?
Everybody could be touched.
The
president's gotten killed before.
Facts, but I'm speaking
multiple
like
presidents have been killed.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'm speaking like in Chicago, the gang members, they just knew.
Doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with gangs, affiliations, who's co-signing you, who your big homie is, who your OG is. All it takes is one person
to not like you.
Yeah. One person.
That's
one
true.
Single person to not like you and take it upon themselves to do you harm. And, you know, and I've talked about this in interviews before. Like, I have armed security when I go to events.
Right. I'm starting to do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just so people know, like, you know,
it's not a game.
It's not a game. I'm serious. This guy with me is ex-LAPD. He's armed. He could legally shoot you, and he will get on the stand and explain why he shot you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is not, you know, once you start having your friends holding illegal guns for you and that type of shit, you start getting caught up in a bunch of bullshit that you weren't.
But I mean, by like all the murders of, like, you know, even Jimmy Wopo, Diamond, him were really cool.
Really, yeah. We interviewed him a few months before he passed.
Yeah. And then XXX, I think I'm still more shocked by Zach. Like, you don't see too many cameramen getting killed. You see them getting robbed. You see them getting, you know, slapped around. You see, you know, stuff like that. But to kill Zach put so many people on in Chicago. Zach would beg and call me like, yo, you need to post this Chicago rapper. He was so loyal to a lot of people that even would scream, fuck him, fuck Zach. He would still put on for them. He cared about the city more than anything. But you're definitely right, though. I mean, nobody gets a pass in this game.
Nobody gets a pass.
Clout is so crazy. Everybody wants that name.
Nobody's untouchable. You know, like, I just assume whenever I leave the house, or even when I'm in the house, but whenever I leave the house, that something could potentially happen, and I am prepared for that happening.
Right.
And by being prepared, that lessens the chances of that actually happening. You see what I'm saying? Because when you go through life and saying, "Yeah, nothing gonna happen to me. I'm untouchable. I'm cool with so and so. They love me. Everyone watches my videos. The fans will protect me." None of that shit'll happen. When it goes down, and you have to understand the repercussions of it. This is why, I don't go into the neighborhoods, and I don't, you know, if you want to interview with me, you have to come to my location, to my studio. You know, you're sitting in my LA studio right now. Or I occasionally will go to a certain business location, but I'm not going to be sitting on someone's front steps interviewing. I remember it was interesting because I interviewed Lil Eazy-E back in the day. In front of his grandparents' house. And this was before Vlad TV. This was when I was still doing DVDs. And we talked about this in our interview. Is right before the interview, somebody walked up to him and handed him a gun that he tucked in off camera. And the whole interview, he kept looking around over his shoulder. And I'm holding the camera like, where the fuck am I right now? And what's about to happen? Because this dude is really, like, apprehensive, like literally looking over his shoulder every few words. Like, is there a drive-by that's about to happen right now? Like, should I have a gun too? Like, that type of shit. You gotta be careful, man.
Definitely.
You gotta be careful.